And so that's who I was. I was like, I kind of went from like, I'm gonna be a writer and I'm gonna be in theater to you can't make any money doing that. Pick a better career path.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard,
And I am Talon Williams.
and we are joined by a special guest today. You might have heard their voice in a few anime such as Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, Kuma Kuma Bear, or maybe
There's a third Kuma in there, but
There
yes,
is. I
there's three.
always,
It's three bears.
yes, I always mess that up because it's Kuma 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 Bear, and I always say Kuma Kuma. I try to say it too fast and I mess up.
That's fair.
So we are joined by Ashe Thurman. Ashe, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Perfect. So for those who don't know, who is Ashe Thurman?
Oh God, what a question! It's very existential. I like it. Uh, I am a Oh gosh, golly, I'm a theater nerd who realized that, hey, guess what? You actually can get paid sometimes to be an idiot
Oh,
on stage or in front of a microphone. Uh, and that's a big part of it. I'm also, in addition to being an actor and a voice actor, a stage turned voice actor. I'm also a science fiction and fantasy writer and a collector of cats is a good one. Not on purpose. They just
oh,
keep showing up.
Hey, I wrote that. I'm surprised my cat isn't running around under my feet right now, to be honest with you. I say my cat
yes.
is my niece's
How
cat. Yeah.
how many cats have you collected?
Okay, so there's five right now.
Oh,
And two of them just showed up within the past 2 years. Like, just showed up on the front porch or the back porch. And we're like, who are you? Okay, cat. New
I, I
cat.
I currently have four, um, three of which I adopted from my niece's cat had three different litters, and we were like, "Oh, I want that one. Oh, I want that
Yeah.
one. Oh, I want
Yeah.
that one." And the fourth one just showed up at my house about a year and a half ago, and he was way too young to be away from his mama.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so my then 5-year old scoops him up and was like, "Hey, he's ours now." And I was like, "No, no, we don't need any
You
more."
you say that, and then
Yeah.
And now he is a
yeah,
fixture in our house.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have two. I have one that we got from my sister-in-law, and then one that we have temporary custody of, I guess, because she can't have cats where she is right now.
Oh, I
So
hate
we're just
that.
holding on. Yeah. So we're basically babysitting a cat for like 2.5 months before we end up giving it back to her.
I
So
mean, I've had Ada. She's my old lady. I've had her 13 years, and I got
oh
her. Wait, no, 14 years. This was what year it was. uh, and she was running around. I had a friend who owned a horse rescue at the time, and she was one of the litters from one of the barn cats.
Oh,
oh
And so I've had her since then, and then I got Urbosa and Zora, Tally Zora, at two different times from the shelter, just at different times. Um, and then Marty just showed up and Parthenax just showed up. So
it's
interesting.
always the ones that just show up that you
just
get the
ones that
most
show up.
attached to.
Exactly. Okay, so Chip asked the question, "Who are you?" I'm going
Mm.
to ask the question, "Who were you before you
Oh.
began the journey to becoming a writer and a voice actor and a theater kid?"
I was told, I was someone who was told, you'll never make any money being a voice actor, theater kid, writer. So you should go into a STEM field. And I did. Uh, so previous to this, like, I mean, as far as like academically and like, professionally, whatever, I actually started in computer engineering school. I went to college. I was in college for computer engineering. We did it for a year and hated it. I was like, wow, this is awful. I hate every second of this. Why am I doing this? It was the physics. It was the physics that got me. Um, and then so I switched over to technical drawing, technical drafting. Um, and so for a very long time before actually going into voice acting and going into writing full time. I was working in various technical fields. I used to draw airplane parts,
Oh,
which was very exciting, and then just other like technical bullshit nonsense that is not as nearly as interesting as that is.
Gotcha.
And so that's who I was. I was like, I kind of went from like, I'm gonna be a writer and I'm gonna be in theater to you can't make any money doing that. Pick a better career path in high school. Did that and then just came right back.
Yeah.
Just came right back in my mid-20s and was like, well, I guess we're doing this now.
Mm.
yeah. It's always, I don't know. It unnerves me when people will look at you and be like, "You're never gonna make any money doing this thing that you're very passionate about." And sometimes you don't, but as long as you
Right.
love it,
Yeah.
it's
What
always got to be a part of you.
what I think I would have preferred, because I can actually see the sort of practicality of that, because you don't make a lot of money as a voice actor. It is not a very, especially if you do anime. Anime is like not a very high paying field. I would not be able to do it 15, like the circumstances had to align appropriately financially for me to be able to do it at all. So what I think I would have preferred is, hey, I see that you're passionate about these things. Let's find you the way to make money doing this, or like a practical approach of, oh, like, oh, you like writing, you're an editor on the literary magazine. Let's look at careers in publishing, or oh, you like to act, but acting is very, very difficult. What are some things you can, what's a day job you can do while you fulfill acting on the side? We really underestimate the value of the quote unquote day job in creative fields, where you have to have it. Like, to you so many people in creative fields, they have the day job and that's not their career, it's just the job they do during the day, and we really underestimate the value of
Right.
that.
Yeah, we tend to call it the Batman Bruce Wayne factor. So
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Bruce Wayne by day, Batman by night.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you want to be Batman, but you gotta have the Bruce Wayne during the day. Exactly. That makes a lot. That's a very good metaphor. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you have mentioned a couple of times that you were a theater kid.
I
What
was.
what drew you to the theater that just what made you fall in love with theater?
I just did it. I started doing it really, really young. I did like a lot of acting classes at like 6 and 7 and 8, for fun. It was just a creative outlet because I liked being goofy. I liked I think it's when you have a natural performance sort of element to you, it's so intrinsic that trying to nail it down into something specific is very, very difficult. But just like I loved the process of learning lines and getting on stage and performing and the accolades and the applause and the applause and the ability to just like tell a story in a very goofy way. Because I did a lot of comedy as a kid. As a kid, I did a lot of comedy, um, in like community
Mhm.
theater and kids theater and that kind of stuff. And so it's just I was doing it so early. I think my mom just put me in acting classes for something to do. Like she was just like, we got a free time on Monday nights, and you're fun and goofy, and like I was in church choir as well. Like
Yeah.
I was in church choir. I was in church. I was in church choir because my dad was in regular choir. And so it was like, well, we got to put you, and my mom was in her Bible study. So we got to put you somewhere on Wednesday nights. Um, Church choir, and so just from there was a very natural progression to, oh, we really like church choir. Well, let's put you in kid acting classes. And then the rest was history, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I liked drama in middle school and high school. It's like, oh, yeah, we're gonna go and we're gonna bring all these people together. Hey, you're gonna do a play at the end of the year, and it's gonna count for 50% of your grade. We're gonna what? Like, no, I didn't agree to that part. I just wanted to learn how to, like voice projection and talking and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I passed the class, but that ain't the point. That ain't the point.
Right. You had to
what I mean?
actually like do the work. No, you
You
did the
actually
work.
had to
You
get up
didn't
there.
like you did
Yeah.
the work, but you didn't expect to have to actually like show people that
Yeah.
you did the work. I
Yeah.
understand. That's fair.
Right.
In ninth grade, we did the play version of an old movie called 12 Angry Men.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't
12
know if you
Angry
ever heard that.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did 12 Angry Men, and I was juror 7 or
Mm.
something like that. I'm like, okay, I
It's a
got the
good
least amount of
juror.
lines, so I can't screw this up. You know what I
Good
mean?
juror.
So can't screw it up. I got like 16 lines and I'm good, so I'm good.
Yeah, we did To Kill a Mockingbird for my high school play,
Mm,
to the point that we actually took a field trip to um where like To Kill a Mockingbird was wrote, and they had
mm-hmm,
this whole like festival around
mm-hmm.
it and everything. And it
I've always
was
wanted to
really
go.
cool. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to that. Yeah, I try to think in high school. Okay, God, I've been in so many plays. So, but a lot of the plays I did in junior high and elementary were specifically children's plays. So, like,
Hmm.
my very first play was called Fairy Tale Court, and I was the defense attorney for the Big Bad Wolf, and it was like the best thing I've ever done. It was like my top performance. But I think high school. Oh gosh, golly gee. I was in The Music Man. I was Eulalie Shin, The Music Man. She's kind of a non-singing role, but she's hilarious. I love her. She has a fainting scene and everything. It's great. I got to wear giant hats with fruit on them.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Oh, it was so
Great.
good. We did Harvey, Vita Louise and Harvey. She's the main character's sister, and she tries to get him like put into the mental hospital because he keeps seeing a giant white rabbit. If you know, you know. Um, gosh. The Death and Life of Larry Benson was stupid. I hated that play. It was dumb. It was dumb. It was about a kid who like it was meant to be very serious. It was just stupid. Basically, a kid. It takes place during the Vietnam, I want to say. And so a kid gets drafted, and he comes back, and it's family's so excited. Oh my God, Larry Benson's back! And the kid who comes back is not Larry. It's some other dude who thinks he's Larry.
Hmm.
And but like so it's supposed to be like really like moving and riveting, and it was just a little bit dumb. And I of course played the comic relief character again, so go figure. And then I did musical theater competition, so that's a little different.
Musical theater
Well,
competition.
Hmm.
Like Pitch Perfect?
No, that's a cappella.
Gotcha. Okay.
When I the
I
events
mean,
so in Texas it's called, oh Lord, what Lord Almighty, what's it called? Texas Thespian Festival is
gotcha.
the name of it. I can't
oh,
remember. It's part of
yes.
UIL, like yeah. And so the events I competed in were solo. Junior year was solo musical, and then senior year was duet musical. And so solo musical junior year I did a Good Morning Baltimore from Hairspray, and then senior year I did oh shoot, it's from the stage production of Grease, so it's not in the movie, but it's a
Mhm.
song called It's Raining on Prom Night.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
I
that's a lot
have
of
heard
fun.
of that. Now you mentioned Texas. Are you originally from Texas?
Yes, I'm from Austin originally.
Oh, see,
You just spoke to his heart right there.
yes. I'm originally from Texas as well. I was born in
There we go.
Galveston. Um,
Hey, Galveston.
yeah. Um, and I'm a Longhorn fan until I die.
Mm.
So I that's
I
sports,
have I
not
have no school rivalry, so you're safe with me.
yes.
Oh, my family went to Southwest. Now it's TSU, but Southwest Texas. So
Yeah.
go Bobcats, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
It's where my mom and
sure.
my sister and my niece, my mom went, my sister went there, and my grandfather went there, and my niece is about to go there. So it's like the one school in Texas we actually have like a legacy, and I'm just like, all right.
Yeah.
So I went to band camp, so it's exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Guess so.
Um, so do you as a theater kid
Hmm.
and now being an adult, do you still go and watch like stage plays and stuff
Oh,
or
as much as I can. I would say I'm living in DFW now. I'm not doxing myself. I work for Funimation. You know where I live. Uh,
right?
as much as we can. We just went and saw Book of Mormon again the second time. That's a good musical. Um,
I've seen it once. It's really good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we keep meaning to. I keep wanting. Oh yeah, that's the short answer. Is yeah, all the time. Lots. I see a lot of musicals. I don't dislike plays. I just really like musicals. And so like if I'm going to pay the money and sit in the terrible seats at the one theater that we like to go to, it's going to be like Hairspray or Book of Mormon, or like Lion King came through.
Hmm.
Um Beetlejuice came through. We missed that, and I was like, "Ugh."
Oh,
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
because the timing was bad.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second. If there was, I don't know if you had any, I don't know if you still have any aspirations to one day be a part of a musical like that, like a Broadway musical or something like that. But if you had the opportunity to be in any Broadway musical or any musical that you would like to be in, which one would it be?
see, Little Shop of Horrors.
I
Okay,
we would
yeah,
take
I can't.
we would have to take Audrey. We'd have to drop her a little bit because I cannot hit her high notes anymore like I could in high school. But there's a production out of San Francisco that recently did where they dropped Audrey like half an octave, and I was like, oh my god, an alto Audrey, a mezzo Audrey, gets to do it. So yeah, and what's funny is I would almost like to play Seymour. I think that'd be more fun. But like Audrey would be a lot of fun too. And I've always wanted to do Little Shop. It's like my dream production is
Gotcha.
Little Shop of Horrors. Like
Okay.
I could die happy, or if they ever did a stage production. Okay, I take this back. I'm such a liar because the second answer to that would be Hedwig and the Angry Inch as the one female part in that character, and I cannot think of that character's name. Because she's in drag the whole time.
Oh, yes.
God, why am I blanking? I'm all my
Oh.
friends are gonna be so mad at me if I forgot his name. Little Shop of Horrors, and then not Little Shop, yeah, be Little Shop Hedwig, and then number 3. I'm answering this question more than you asked. Simply because I absolutely love it, and it would be so ridiculous. It's called Repo the Genetic Opera.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh my
I
god,
love
like the way like
Yes.
that I would die. Like I don't even need to be a major part in that. I just think it'd be hysterical to have a live production of it. Because
Yes.
like again, like like a restage production of it because I'm just like I love it. And a couple of my friends and I we made some friends sit down and watch it, and then when they were done, they were like, "What is this?" I was like, "How are you not like how is it not your favorite thing ever now?"
Right?
Yeah, like I'm
It's
not
the
a super
best.
like I'm not a super fan of like that particular, style or that particular genre, but I
Mm.
watch it, I'm like, I can't stop watching this. Like
It's
this is
so
this
good.
is great,
Well, see, and I already like rock operas, so for me it was easy. I'm just like, Zydrate comes in a little glass vial, and I'm in. I'm in.
Yes.
Right.
In.
Yes.
Exactly.
Uh,
Right.
one
I'm
of the
so excited that y'all
musicals.
know that because not a lot of people
Yes.
do. I feel very validated.
Yeah.
One of the most recent musicals that I went to see that I absolutely loved was The King and I.
Oh yeah, it's a
Um,
classic.
yeah, it was my first time seeing it. I took my wife to see it. We have a theater here where we live in Tennessee called the Tivoli, and they bring in all kinds of
Yeah.
stage plays
Yeah,
and musicals and everything. And it was recommended, and I was not disappointed, I will say.
it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean we got Broadway Dallas, so like we
I
got
need to
stuff
get.
covered. I'm so privileged.
We need to go to Dallas, Chip, at
Honestly.
some point. It has to happen.
Don't tempt me. Do
It's
not
all
tempt
right.
me.
It's all right.
I mean,
Nothing
I have.
if you could put up with Cowboy fans, you can go through Dallas. You're fine.
Oh yeah, and like they're not even. And if you, and they're not that bad. They're fine. I saw a lady. I saw a lady at Michael's yesterday, a couple days ago, and she got out of her car, and I saw her Cowboys purse. And I was like, okay, yeah, rep, all right. But then like I took in the rest of the outfit, head to toe, head to toe Cowboys, matching Cowboys purse. I was like, you know what? You know what you like, and I can appreciate it. Like that's incredible. You don't see it
Yes,
too often, but like when you do,
you do.
you
It's
do.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard for me because I'm a Texans fan.
that's fair.
I grew up an Oilers fan. When the
That's fair.
Oilers moved to Tennessee, I was like, it's not the same. And then when the Texans came out, I was like, okay, that's my team.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Um, so going from uh theater,
Hmm.
what drew you kind of towards the voice acting to where you're not on the stage, it's just your voice? What drew you towards that?
Okay, so there's a little bit of there's kind of an interesting transitional period right here because I was kind of after I moved out of like I did a little bit of community theater after college, and then I had a hard time finding a place, and then I was kind of moving around. So the city I was in at the time, I was back in Austin, and I was having a really hard time like really finding I felt like a place in Austin where I could act and like people would be like cool. It's I'm a big gal. You know, I'm 5'11", I'm plus size, and that is a very very specific thing where it's like people will look at you and be like, I don't know if I can envision you as this character. And it's like, I got better range than who you casted. So like, who you cast. So like, I'm sorry that you don't have any taste. And so there's a little bit of that. And then for a long time, I was actually in Rocky Horror Picture Show Shadowcast. And so that's how I kind of got my fix. I was like, I was tech director for a while, that kind of good stuff. So the reason so this all kind of bleeds together was basically I really loved acting, but I was just having a really hard time finding a place for myself in live theater, outside of sort of the comfort of school, the comfort of education, the comfort of community theater. And so I was watching like an abridged anime one day or something. And I had this moment of like, so keeping in mind, I grew up on like, I'm like the new grounds generation. Like I was watching Llamas with Hats, Charlie the Unicorn, that old one with God, Kara Buckland and Aaron Hansen are in it.
Shining non-believer.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Girl Chan's one. Anyway, so but I had this moment where I was sitting here being like, the people who are recording this abridged show all live in different places. How are they doing that? Like, what is the methodology that they are using to create this content? And I got back and like kind of went back in my brain and was like, how have they always been doing? They've been doing this since like the early 2000s. How are people doing this? And that's when I started like digging into it and found out, all these communities of people who were just like, this is what they did. Like I found the sort of forums and such where people did this, and I found out, yeah, people are just building studios in their closets in their apartments and voice acting. And I was like, well, I love voice acting. I love acting. I love animation. I love anime. I love video games. I'm very familiar with all of that. I could just do that, right? And I hadn't really had any intention of doing it professionally. It was just something I wanted to do, just like to see if I could do it. It was just like, well, I know how they're doing it. There's no reason I can't do that too. And I had some recording equipment already because I was streaming at the time. I was doing a lot of Twitch streaming, again, for fun, feeding the performance bug. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can just do this. This is easy. And then on the forums, I found cool projects that were accepting actors. And I was like, well, I know how to audition. Like I've done that before. Same process. Bam. Okay, here's your MP3, dude. And because I had all the technical knowledge already just from existing in the world, and just other stuff. And so yeah, that was just kind of it. And then once I started doing it as a hobby, and I found groups to hook up with, and like we were it's that transition to professional can come a lot faster than you expect. Because like I had just been doing it as a hobby for like not even a year yet, when a friend of mine who was like the audio engineer for a small web animation company was just like, hey, we need a guy. You got a voice. I'll give you $60. And I was like, thanks, Kim. Okay. And then from there, it's just the end. It's just it blooms from there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Now, do you remember that production that your friend put you in? What was that? The small.
If it's the one I think it is, I don't know if it's online anymore. If it's the one I think it is, it would be the one. It's like it's a episode 1, Star Wars episode 1. Padme and Anakin go to a high school dance or something, and they needed a Padme Amidala. And I was just like,
okay,
go. If that's the one it is, I can't really remember because it's been like a bajillion years now.
Of
like,
course,
we're getting on very close to 10 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I think like 8 at this point, maybe if I'm mathing.
If your maths.
If my maths. So like to actually put it down, I know because I know what the first couple of them were. And so it's just kind of like, what was the first one? I think it was that one. Because a few later, and this one I remember very distinctly because it ruined me forever. I played Navi in an Ocarina of Time animation, and they had me saying the most ridiculous shit. That was hilarious. It was hilarious, but like, and I had no problems. It wasn't like over the line or anything. It was just like stupid. It was funny though when it came all together. I was like, oh, this is so dumb. This is like definitely like 13-year-old boy like level of humor. And the comments just loved Navi. Like, oh my god, Navi is so good. And one was like, oh my god, Navi sounds so hot. And I was like, buddy, I'm I'm too old for you for one, and I think I'm married and too old for you at the time. So it's just kind of like, this is ridiculous. What's happening right now?
Oh my goodness.
I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
to be fair, Navi does say some ridiculous shit in the game, so
Like this was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this was very like it, like she gets drunk at one point or something. I don't remember. I could probably find it honestly if I really
oh,
wanted to. If I
I'm going
really
to
wanted to suffer, I
yeah,
could find it.
I am going to scour
I'll send
YouTube
it
for
to you. I
this.
don't give a shit.
Yes.
Just
If I find it, I'll just give it to you because it's
I
funny. I don't
yes,
care.
I
Right.
have
It's
to hear drunk Navi now.
Yes.
it's God, doing fan stuff once you kind of go professional gets so tricky because it's like I did some really good work in the fan arena, but man, those copyright laws, and you don't want to be someone who gets caught up on that. So it's like very much like I'll talk about it, but I'm not gonna like actively point it out to people because it's like, I know I did it, but it's like
Yeah.
Right.
Nintendo,
But
don't sue me, like
well, you did bring up copyright law, which kind of leads into a kind of a serious topic that
mhm.
the voice actors and really entertainment as a whole is going through right now, and that's the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, especially in the voiceover scene. What is your honest opinion about the usage of AI in the entertainment industry?
It's terrible and needs to stop and burn it to the ground. Now, someone just asked me this at a panel like 2 weeks ago, and so I'm just
Oh,
like,
okay.
no, it's funny. No, because it's funny to me because like people ask that question. No, so AI is intent like AI in a creative arena is intended to be a tool for a creative professional to do something. Like okay, you're in Photoshop and you need to change these leaves from one shade of green to another shade of green, and AI is going to help you do that a little bit better. Okay, fine, whatever. That's not that big of a deal. It's this generative anything that is like taking from someone and then generating. It's one unethical. Period. It's for I've had this conversation before with people. It's a very twofold problem because there's like the ethics of it, which at the moment it's unethical. The way it scrapes information from people who do not agree to have that information scraped. Um, and then even if you could find an ethical way to do it, it's lazy. It's lazy, and it's taking away the ability, and it's taking away the human factor that makes the creative arts work.
Right.
Like AI art is never going to be able to do the thing that an actual artist can do. AI voice is never going to be able to do the thing an actual voice can do because any kind of creative field needs that human element. And so
I
there's yeah, that's all there is to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I agree completely. However, a few weeks ago we had who was it that we were talking to this
Eric
about?
Roland.
Eric Roland. He was on, and he is very much like you in the fact that it takes the human element out of it. It takes the art away from the artist. But he also says or said that so if you're right in the middle of a project, right, and you unexpectedly pass away, kind of like what happened with Greg Ayers,
Mm-hmm.
and
Chris.
or Chris, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I get them mixed up
That's
sometimes.
fair. That's fair.
But so you unexpectedly pass away, and your family wants your voice to finish out said project. He believes that it would be okay, if your family says so, of course, or whoever is over your estate.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Go on, sorry.
so in something like that, uh, do you think that would be okay? Or
Yeah, because I feel like because for me, what it kind of comes down to is it's what makes AI unethical is from an ethics perspective, like a top-down philosophical ethics perspective, is that it is taking the work of somebody else and replicating it in a way that's like it's scraping art, scraping voice. It's AI used to replicate an actor's voice, for example. If you sample my voice and create AI from it, you are now making me say something that I never agreed to say.
Yep.
You have taken the agency from me as a person for my voice to be used in a certain fashion. In the case of a actor who has passed away, okay, well, they weren't getting paid for those lines anyway, unfortunately. Like that's very unfortunate. Like that's kind of what it comes down to.
right,
And if it's okay with the family now, and presumably like they had read the script ahead of time, they had a sense of what they would have said, you know, and so as long as the family is okay with it, I feel like that's a very one-off situation.
Right.
And but it shouldn't be used to try to wiggle out of other ethical kind of dilemmas. You know, we talk about that with like problematic authors, and it's like when they're alive versus when they're dead. You know, like don't that guy's
Yeah.
problematic. Don't buy his books until he's dead, so he doesn't get any money. You know, but like it's that same kind of concept. It's monetary, and an element of ethics is monetary flow.
Mhm.
And so if you're
Yeah.
taking jobs from people, yeah, that's not an ethical use of the technology. If you're just finishing up a creative project, there's not really a monetary situation. It changes the ethical
Yeah,
structure.
For a lot of people, and we've talked to many, many voice actors about this particular subject, the fact that the fact that many studios are going to artificial intelligence because it is cheaper and because
Mhm.
it's easier to do. But like what you said, it's unethical and it's lazy, because then it's like, okay, these studios don't have to worry about paying these actors to come in to do the work. Like, oh, well, we already have samples of their voices. Let's just
Mhm.
use the algorithm and put forth there. You're putting, and anybody who watches anime or a cartoon show of any kind, they know the difference. They think they don't know. The studios may think, oh, they won't know the difference. No, we know the difference. Just like when you get a telemarketer call, or you get one of those, phone calls saying, hey, you owe this much money for
Yeah.
this, whatever.
We're
And you're
looking.
like,
Your case
am I
needs to
talking
be
to a real
acted on.
person? And then there's a 5-second delay, and you're like, yeah, well, no, it's not the same thing. We know what you're doing
Right.
is wrong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And there's a sense of kind of like broad ethics versus singular ethics, in a sense of like, if agree, okay, I'm going to agree that you can train an AI on my voice, right? I have signed a contract. I have been, I'm okay with my compensation for that. I know that you're going to do that. I know that going forward, my voice is going to say whatever, and I sign that off. Ethically, I mean, we're all, they're paying me. I have agreed to that payment. I made do I think it's right in a broad sense? Have I screwed over my fellow actors? Absolutely, because I've set the precedent for that. But as far as me personally being like ethically wronged, I agreed to it. And so I think that's also like the thing where it's like we also have actors have to kind of be like, no, none of us are going to partake in this because it's broad spectrum ethical, not great, because I've now set the precedent. It's the same thing if you're undercutting, if you're underselling yourself as an actor. If you go online and say, I will give you an hour of audio for $2, I've now ethically wronged my compatriots because I've set an unrealistic precedent for how much you can get for that money, and I've undercut everybody. It's the same kind of concept of professional ethics for your fellow
I know.
colleagues.
I'm right there
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So back to the voice acting portion. So you kind of did these like fan service things.
Yeah.
When was it that you kind of jumped from doing that to the actual like pro
So that's
voice
where
acting?
we get a very interesting thing, because we have to make this very interesting distinction of like professional fandom, in a sense of like, if you're getting paid, it's professional. But is it it's very interesting, because there's this very interesting dichotomy, because you have fan works and
Mhm.
original works, and you have paid works and unpaid works. And it's kind of like, if you're getting paid, you're doing it professionally. It doesn't really matter what the content is. So it's like, here I'm getting paid to do fan works, technically transformative work, called transformative works.
Okay.
But I'm also doing original stuff for friends that I'm not getting paid for, like indie games and that kind of stuff, because we're, it's a collective. We're doing it as a collective project for free. And so there's this really interesting distinction between like, okay, you're getting like, are you doing original projects or transformative work? Are you getting paid or are you not getting paid? And it's this building block, because you don't want to have, because when you kind of want to court, bigger studios or bigger projects, you don't want to have just transformative work on your resume, even if you are making bank doing it. You also want to show your ability to do original works where you can actually develop a character from the ground up. And so, hey, if we have to do a couple of those for free until, you know, that kind of thing. These are the kind of negotiations you make as you move through, because you obviously also don't want to undersell yourself. You don't want to undersell your other actors, but also, you know, people out here making cool stuff, but they don't got any money. So everyone's volunteering their time. So for me, it was just a combination of going back and forth. You know, there's some transformative work I was getting paid for, some I wasn't. Some original work I was getting paid for, some I wasn't. And I'm trying to balance the two. And it's really just a matter of, like, I've lost the thread of the question. Finding that quote unquote big break where you actually break into like a larger studio, where it's
Yes.
like, oh, you know, how do you get there? And that is a mystery most of the time. If you ask like 50 actors, you'll get 100 stories. Like, it's not. And so, like, for me, I was just taking classes at Okratron, which is, I assume, still open. I don't know. Which is a studio in DFW that at the time was doing Smite, and they were doing Paladins, and they were also doing Funimation. It was still Funimation at the time. They were doing Funimation Overflow. So they were doing One Piece, Dragon Ball, whatever. They were doing a lot of Dragon Ball. I took a class there. And just because I was like, oh, I'm going to sharpen my skill set, because I'm really like, I've been doing it for like a year and a half at that point. I'm going to sharpen my skill set. I'm going to learn a little bit more about this specific thing. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I could take the class. So I did. And if you took the class and you were good enough, they would like come to you privately and be like, do you want to be on the roster for auditions? And I passed muster, made onto the roster for auditions. And that was when I booked Paladins, where I play the witch version of the Vivian skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then student of magic Vivian. I couldn't think of her name. And then getting onto the Funimation roster, because it's still Funimation at the time, that for me, that was another class. I took a class with one of the directors, and again, it was like I performed well. It wasn't just like you came to class, now you're on the roster. It was I came to the class and I performed well. And I showed a level of like, I know what I'm doing, that when she needed basically every female voice in DFW for a show she was working on, because it was a big show with just like hundreds of women. So like I feel like everyone's in the show if you have a feminine voice. She was just like, hey, come be a anthropomorphized battleship. I need the voices. And then kind of once you get in that first time at Funimation, and if you have a reel available and you have any kind of like decent resume, they just put you in the system. And then it's just kind of like, when do you need me next? And so they'll just like, then I think I met another director in another class, and so he called me in, and they said once you're in the system and they know that you can actually do the work, you end up on a list. And then the directors are like, I need 2 little boys and teenage girl. Who do we have on the little boy list? And it's just very like, and then you make friends with the directors, and you get better parts. Yes. Because not because you're friends with the directors, but because they see what you can do, and they're like, I've heard you. You got a really great ear. Yeah, okay, I think you might be good for this part. And then you work your way up.
Yeah, because you've been involved. Like, I'm looking at your IMDb right now, and you've done.
I forget I have one of those sometimes.
Yeah. I was going to point out some of the ones you've done.
Don't worry. I forget that we collectively as Movement Radio have an IMDb, and I'm like,
I have to constantly remind everybody about the episodes and stuff. Anyway, but yeah, looking at your IMDb page, you've been in Fairy Tail, you've been in Black Clover, Fire Force, Chainsaw Man, Kuma Bear, three of them.
Bear.
Out of all the roles that you've done so far, what would you say? And I know it's like picking your favorite kid or your favorite cat, but what is your favorite role that you've played so far?
Okay, so this is very tricky. So Melaine in Kuma Bear. She's been my only character that's come back for 2 seasons.
Okay.
And I've been with her the longest. I did her that's horrible. I played her. I voiced her the most. I spent a lot of time with her. She's a lovely character. She's a lot of fun. She's very she sits here for me, so she's very breathy, and so she's actually kind of difficult to do. Just to get the breath support up to be able to do that's very, very difficult. So she has a lot of fun. and like I said, so like I kind of have to pick her in a lot of ways. But the thing is, like, of all like the sessions I've ever done where like I came, oh, that's tricky. I'm about to. So Chainsaw Man was a lot of fun, I have to say, actually, because I played one of the demons in that, and that was a lot of fun. It was like, but like I feel like one of the sessions where I came out of the session like exhausted and like exhilarated, and I look back at it now and I'm like, damn, I did a good job. Is I in Fire Force I have a couple of different like little small bits and pieces like Woman A, so and so's mom, but like season 2 episode 12 I play the young version of 5-2,
Mhm.
and I get the shit beat out of me for a minute and a half. And like I watched that and it seems like so like simple, but like I mention it and I'm always like, no, like this was like so it's like this one of the most physically demanding things I've ever done. Ever. And I've fainted on stage before. And like this was the most like physically demanding thing I've ever done. I look back at it now and I'm just like, I did a good job. And then the fan reaction to it afterward, because it's a very like kind of scene. Fans were like, damn after it came out, and I was just like, I did that.
Nice.
And it's also the funniest one where I'll be at a convention, I'll be paneling or whatever, and people will be asking, oh my god, what shows have you been in? I'll be like, I know Fire Force. And then I'll be like, oh, but did you see like episode, but I'll say a specific episode. I'll be like, oh well, did you see season 2 episode 12 of Fire Force where young 5-2? And they'll be like, and some people will be like, yeah, I'm like, that's me. And they're always like, oh. I'm just like, because like I think people don't expect it, but it's funny. It's funny every single time. Because they're always like, oh. I'm just like, yeah, I know, right?
That was you.
Funny. That was me.
Holy
it's funny
shit, that was you.
It's funny every single time.
I had that moment though. When we did I don't remember what convention it was. I want to say it was Metrotham Con last year. We met voice actor Quentin Flynn. Did a couple things. Yeah, I didn't realize until after we had walked up to him while he was at his table. We were just going to thank him because he allowed us to record his one of his panels, and I was looking at his table with all of the different characters that he's done, and I'm like, wait a minute, you were riding in Metal Gear Solid? And he was like, yeah, that was me. I was like, I didn't know. And he
that's
was
always
like,
so funny.
Yeah, and he told me, he goes, that's the thing. When you meet a voice actor for the first time and you tell them what you've done, they're like, that was you? That was me. Oh, okay. And then you start putting it, and then you watch that show afterwards, and it's like, I know the guy that does that.
I have friends, like I have other voice acting friends, and I'll have totally forgot what they've done. And they'll be like, oh my god, look at these pictures from the convention I went to, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my god, so cute, so cute. I'm like, oh my god, look at this print. Oh, look at these new prints that I got for one of my characters. And I'm like, I totally forgot you played that character. I'm like, shit, you were in that? Like, I forgot that you played, like, because this is one of those things where it's like people in real life, like you're trying to keep track of everybody's like job, but it's just like you don't have much enough mental space to just hold on to it all, especially if it's been a few years ago. Absolutely, it happened like a couple months ago with a friend. I was like, I totally like she's in I hope Corinne won't mind. Corinne Sunberg, she's been in Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. I completely forgot she was in that. Like, I just completely, I was like, Corinne, I completely forgot you were in Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. And she's like, okay. And I was like, I don't, because she was showing me an Integra print. Anyway, it happens to me all the time, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
So was that also probably the most difficult voice that you have been able to do?
Yeah. So, young boys in general, like, so young boys, like maybe like 9, 10, those aren't usually too bad. You don't really have to go too low. You just kind of move your resonance. So you're just like, here, da, 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 da. But you don't really have to like move your pitch too much because you haven't had puberty yet. So this character actually was a little more difficult because he's a little bit lower, because he was closer to 13 or 12 or 13. So you have to kind of start dipping. So I had to like kind of be down here, and I had to really move it. And this is okay for like a little while. Like, this is not like a terribly difficult voice to sustain. I've done it before. But then when you're also like, like, it is, it's rough. That was a really rough one. Because I've done that voice before for just like, power of magic, friendship, blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty easy. But actually, like, having to do serious acting and having to like do the gut punches, you gotta really like, man, getting punched. That's the most difficult voice acting thing like in existence, because you really gotta just like you gotta like actually press the air out of you, and it hurts your abdominals. Oh,
So it's almost like getting punched for real.
it's like doing a freaking like 100-minute ab blaster workout, like, and yeah, and getting in a fist fight with somebody. Like, it's ridiculous. It hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts.
So you mentioned that you're also a fantasy writer. Do you have anything published?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, totally. So I was primarily a short story writer for like a really, really long time. So I have a bunch of short stories. I pan the camera, but like they're over on the wall. So like I'm in a couple of anthologies have been published, couple of zines, couple of magazines. I was the writer in residence for Cinnabar Moth Literary Collections end of last year. So I had about short story published, 4 short stories like as part of their monthly thing. And then I was supposed to have like 3 other things come out this year, and then one of the publishers just shuttered, like the publisher itself shuttered, and so the anthology never came out. And I was very disappointed because that was a good short story. And then I have, so that's what's published like traditionally speaking, like full on traditional. And then I also have a couple of self-published novels. I have the 3rd one coming out this year. I got a book signing in a month or 2. I'm very excited about that one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your self-published novels?
Okay, so it's a trilogy. The 3rd book's coming out in this trilogy. It's the series is called A Yarn. It's 2 novellas, and the third book's gonna be a full-length book.
Okay.
And so the series is called A Yarn That Binds the Universe, which is long. Isekai title. I'm not sure what I was thinking. First book is called Patterns Under Glass. Second book is called Books in Dark Rooms. And the 3rd book, we'll see if this title sticks, but it's Dirt Between Cities.
Okay.
The Dirt Between Cities?
Dirt Between Cities. Or maybe
that sounds
the dirt.
really...
The dirt. I don't know. It's you gotta finesse it a little bit. You gotta put it on the cover and see how it looks, and then decide. And then I have a short story collection out. And I also write alien romance, but we won't talk about that right now. Even though that's
alien
romance. Alien romance. That's what makes the money. Like,
okay.
Tell
me about alien romance.
Well,
yeah, it's just romance.
Is it kind of like what? Oh God, that
if
one
you say
chick
Ice Planet Barbarians, I swear to God.
No, I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
But
no, I was thinking more when you said alien romance. My brain initially went to the sci-fi horror movie Splice.
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. No, I was thinking about
Splice.
I was thinking about that novel that one chick wrote from Orange Is the New Black. She wrote like a short story in prison, and she was passing it around, and it was aliens and weird sexual stuff and
yeah.
Kind of
so
stuff.
I want you to think. Okay, so you guys are presumably dudes. So well, probably yeah. I just want to make. I didn't want to pursue. I didn't want to assume, but you know, the beards kind of.
The beards kind of give it away.
So you want to think like traditional romance novel where you have the basic structure, relationship between 2 people, focuses on the relationship between 2, basic 3-act structure, happily ever after at the end. Only the guy is an alien. Only when I write it, they're a little more alien than other aliens. They're explicit. Like, they're full on, like, if Mass Effect didn't fade to black, you know, like, it's fun. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, it's fun and stupid and great, but also because I can't help myself, there's like actual like physics and like botany in it, because like if I'm gonna write science fiction, it's gonna be good.
You just put an image in my brain.
Now, speaking of science fiction, what drew you to science fiction?
Oh, I'm just a giant nerd, bruh. I watched X-Files too. I watched too much X-Files growing up. X-Files, Stargate. Oh my God, X-Files. Wait, this was the lens on my camera. I should probably put that somewhere. Just on my finger. Huh.
Yeah, don't lose that.
X-Files, Stargate, Sliders, Star Trek TNG, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager. Like.
So I take it you're Trekkie and not a.
Okay, I don't want to get in a fight. But Star Wars is I'm
no
not
fighting
I'm not really either. I'm really more of a Stargater. is
Okay.
the thing. Like, because Star Wars is like science fantasy and like space opera, and that's like fantastic, and I absolutely love it. But like,
hmm
but also so is Stargate, but like Stargate does it better. And then Star Trek just does something a little bit different, where
hmm
it's a little more soft sci-fi. It's a little more Heisenberg uncertainty principle, like generation anti-field, like, because how do you account for the Heisenberg uncertainty principle if you're going to teleport? Oh, you put in a Heisenberg uncertainty field anti device, so you don't have to worry about it, because that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
I grew up on Star Trek, The Next Generation, but I absolutely love Star Wars.
Sorry.
And like, so you were saying they were different. I personally feel like Star Trek focuses more on the relationships of the cast members,
Yeah,
like not off screen but on screen.
right.
Um, Whereas Star Wars focuses more on like the worlds
Mhm.
and less on the relationship of the people that are in those worlds.
Well, yeah, and that's why we would call Star Trek soft science fiction versus hard science fiction. Because
Mhm.
like hard science fiction would be like your Niven, your Asimov, your Clark. Well, not Clark quite as much. That'd be like your Niven and your Asimov. That'd be the very, very, or like Andy Weir or Tchaikovsky. Because like it's very technology focused, whereas your soft sci-fi is your sociology, your people, your interconnections.
Mhm.
So but that's kind of why I would call Star Wars like a space opera, because
Yes.
it's big, it's political, it's melodramatic, it's bam bam bam, laser laser, midichlorian, like, oh, we didn't have midichlorian until episode 1, but whatever.
Yeah.
I was 11 when episode 1 came out, and it was like the same year. It's like that was like life changing. Like I grew up I was born the exact right generation, because like Lord of the Rings, like the first Lord of the Rings movie, the first Harry Potter movie, in episode 1 came out when I was like 9 through 12. And so it was just like perfect science fiction fantasy combo
Yes. Yes.
in movie, even though anyway. um yeah, and then also I get access to X-Files. Come on. So yeah, so like Star Wars is more like action adventure, Barsoom, Conan, but in space.
Yes.
And then
I
Star
can, yeah,
Trek's more like,
I can get that. Yeah.
yeah, so there's different.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Fanboys?
A long time ago. Long ago enough that I've forgotten a lot but remember some.
Kirk
If
loving
that makes
Spock
sense.
suckers.
Yeah, there's this one line
Kirk
where,
loving Spock.
yeah, he
Yeah.
calls the guy, they get into an argument. He calls, "You scruffy nerf herder."
Yeah.
And he looks back at him. He's like, "You Kirk loving Spock
Spock
sucker."
sucker.
That's pretty good. See, okay, you know what? I've actually realized that what I really need to say is I was like Stargate and Doctor Who.
Ah.
I was a doctor. I was a Who. I'm still a Whovian. I've been watching the new one. It's great. Um, like if I had to like pick one of the big beefy bad boys, they're
hmm
like still going, it would be Doctor Who.
Okay.
I can honestly say I've not really watched any Doctor Who. You
You
know,
you got
is
see
it
I
is it an acquired taste or is it
it's
a
you kind of have yeah, a little bit. You have to kind of be ready. It's Doctor Who is this very, oh god. So I started on like old Doctor Who,
okay?
like old black and white Doctor Who, because it ran in like reruns on the Sci-Fi Channel when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
Doctor Who's
Right.
been out forever.
Yeah, in the first, I think it's like 68, something like that.
Oh
Um
wow.
yeah, so I grew up on like some of the old movies. And so when Eccleston came out as like New Who, my mom and I were like super stoked. We're like, oh my god, new Doctor Who. And so Doctor Who, it's like you have to be ready for it to be goofy as shit while also being extremely dark at the same time. Like, you look at the Daleks, and the reason the Daleks are designed the way they are is because it was low BBC budget, and that's just what they had. Okay, the reason they have whisks for hands is because they literally put whisks on a trash can. Like, so you have to kind of be ready to just suspend disbelief that this trash can is the greatest existential threat to humanity and the entirety of like existence. Just suspend that disbelief and appreciate the performance, and like appreciate like the writing. And it definitely goes through phases. Like every Whovian has like their preferred doctor.
hmm
And it's like, I'm really liking Gatwa, like the newest one. Like, he's really kind of killing it. So he might overtake Tenet, which I didn't think I'd ever say out loud. But like, you just kind of have to get used to it as you go through. Like, for me personally, like a lot of people like Matt Smith, a lot of people like Capaldi. Eccleston was also really good. But it's like, you kind of just like, you kind of just have to like embrace the stupid a little bit and just accept that it's going to be a little bit dumb and you're all along for the ride.
Oh, so okay, so it's got 26 seasons from 1963 to 1989.
63.
And then
Mhm.
they're in the newer, I guess since
Yeah.
when they brought it back in 2005, they've had 14 seasons since
That
2005.
sounds right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
one season Eccleston and then like 4 of Tenet, like a lot of Tenet.
Yeah. Well, it
And,
says
like,
right here, it says 883 episodes. However, there are 97 missing Doctor Who episodes.
that feels like something that would happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
Like
It
some
feels like
lost
something.
episodes or something like that. Or
Maybe they got filmed, they never got finished, or who knows. Doctor Who's weird. They do weird
Yeah.
shit like that all the time.
yeah. So they changed so like every season they change the Doctor. Is that
Do I
how
get to
they're-
Not-
explain regeneration to you?
You're gonna.
Yes,
I've
please.
never seen it.
Go.
I've never seen.
Explain
Oh my
it.
god, I'm so excited. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
more
like-
than willing to learn. So here we go. Talon learns
basically-
about Doctor Who. Here we go.
Yeah, so there are a whole bunch of different. So the Doctor as a character is the same Doctor. He's like the same character all the way through from the very, very beginning. If you
Okay.
see the Doctor, it's the Doctor. He's always the same character. But like, but he's played by a different actor every 1 season, 2 season, 3 seasons. And the whole point was like, you know, as actors get older and they can't necessarily play the character anymore, it was kind of a way to like bring in fresh blood in a way that narratively made sense. So headphones came off. I wanted to make sure you heard it.
Yes.
I want to make sure my kids. I'm
Oh.
hearing noise in the hallway. I'm sorry. You're good. You're good. Keep going. Okay.
No,
Yes.
dangerous. And so what they built in is, so the Doctor, he's a two-hearted alien. Here's
A
this
two-heart
little-
alien.
He has 2 hearts. Yeah, he's got.
Okay. Okay.
And so basically, when he dies, he doesn't die. He regenerates.
Okay.
So his body changes form. So yeah, so that's this is a very short version of this.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, so like, yeah, so every single when you see like, oh, first Doctor, second Doctor, third Doctor, it's like that's the new actor coming in. And every single time they sort of regenerate and go into a new actor, every single actor brings something a little bit different to kind of what the Doctor is like. And so that kind of affects, okay, how does his run, that actor's run sort of look, you know, narratively. So, you know, every single actor is kind of bring, so like so, you know, for New Who starts with Eccleston. So it's Eccleston, then Tennant, then Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi, then Jodie Whittaker, now Ncuti Gatwa. And wow, I'm surprised I was actually able to do that. I was like, wow, okay. And so like every single one's a little bit different. So like Eccleston was kind of gritty, you know, and then like Tennant. And then Eccleston was only on for 1 season, and then Tennant came in and he was on for like 4 or 5 seasons, maybe 6, something like that. He was on for a long
It's-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like a little more flighty, a little more loose, a little more like kind of wide-eyed, like, and it's hard to describe. And then he gets placed with Matt Smith, and Matt Smith as an actor was younger than David Tennant, I think, at the time. And so Matt Smith brings a different angle. And then Capaldi was older, so they have kind of old man Doctor Who for a couple of seasons. And then they switched to Jodie Whittaker, and so I didn't watch her season, unfortunately. And now the new guy, Ncuti Gatwa, he is like very. It's just a different. I don't know how to describe it. It's a much different performance. Like he's a lot more effective. So, and then the Doctor always has a companion, and like they'll go through like the kind of cycle companions. So there's usually like one main companion that ends up being associated with that Doctor, but he might go through 2 or 3. Like Tennant had Rose, and then what's her face, and then Donna. And then like, so like there's a relationship with the companion changes, and so Ncuti Gatwa's relationship with his companion is a lot more like affectionate. He's a lot younger, like he's only like 34. But he also just looks really young. Like he's on Sex Education, so he plays a teenager in Sex Education. That's kind of what he looks like. He looks 17. But he's like a lot younger. He's a lot more spry. He's a lot more affectionate with his companion without it being like weird because they're roughly the same age. And so it's just a different vibe. I could talk
Okay.
about it forever. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
stop.
I'm
I could
learning.
go on for a while. I will stop.
I understand. I'll learn something new every day. So
Well,
yeah, I
because from an acting perspective, I actually from an acting perspective, I highly recommend like getting all the doctors and lining them up and like just watching scenes from individual doctors to see how an actor can play the same character so many different ways and it still makes sense narratively. That's
So
why I
do
love Doctor Who so much.
so
It's
do I
just
go
like,
all the way back to William Hartnell,
no,
or do
no,
I?
no,
Okay.
no. Go
No,
start with Eccleston. You're fine. You don't need the old
Yeah.
shit. That's fine.
Christopher Eccleston. So
Start with
basically,
Eccleston.
when it came back in 2000,
Yes.
2005 is where I need to
Mhm.
start.
Mhm.
Okay.
And yeah, I would start with Eccleston. Mostly because of narrative stuff. Like there's a lot of really strong narrative seeds that happen in that season. So it's like,
Okay. Is it like the previous seasons were those doctors not? How can I say this? Were those doctors kind of like not up to par with like the newer version of the
it's
doctors?
just
It's like, is it
different.
just different? Okay.
It's just different. Like if you try to go back, like I watched a lot of Monty Python. So like if you go back and watch Monty Python, like the humor is just so much different than today that if you're not accustomed to it, you're
Right.
gonna be like, wow, this is very dry and very British.
Yes.
Why am I watching this? So it's just an old television thing. Like if you're really into it, like I love it. I'm a giant geek. I'll watch old black and white Twilight Zone until I die. But like if you're not accustomed to it, then it's like this is old and weird.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say start with Eccleston because it's a little more modern.
That's the way I feel about like old, like going back and watching like old stuff, like even like I still watch the Three Stooges from like the
Oh, yeah.
1930s and stuff, and I'm like, man, someone slapped me across the face like that, man, it'd be some furniture moving. But they're
Right.
simpletons, so there's like,
Well,
okay, it's
the
slapstick.
it's the evolution of
comedy,
humor. Yeah, it's the evolution of
Yeah.
humor. That's from a vaudeville. That's very vaudeville. It's very slapstick,
Yes.
and we just don't do it as much anymore.
No, I don't think they do slapstick ever in today's day and age. I don't think.
It's because it reads so old. Like people see it
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, this is old." And because it reads as old, we need a slapstick revival. Is what we need.
I
Yes, we
agree.
do.
Like a more
100%.
like a slapstick revival.
I would be amazing. Amazing.
Oh God, is that Jackass? Is Jackass a slapstick revival? And we already went through it. It was terrible.
Maybe.
Oh no.
Maybe.
You just
dear.
broke my brain. Wait.
Oh dear.
Wait. No.
Oh no. I hope not.
Maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe it
think
is.
maybe it is.
It might
Yeah.
be. It might be a
It was.
little bit.
It's a little bit darker than Three
Yeah.
Stooges and Abbott and Costello, but sure. Yeah.
You're not quite Laurel and Hardy, but it's something.
Not quite Laurel and Hardy. Maybe Ted Healy from back in the 1920s. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I threw
by
a
the
Ted
way,
Healy reference in here. Holy shit!
yes.
Well, Charlie Chaplin.
By the way, Talon, you can watch Doctor Who on Max.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, and it starts with the 05 version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the newest season, Disney bought it. So then you
Yeah.
have to watch like the newest stuff on Disney.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I got
This is-
Disney Plus, so I'm good.
Yeah.
So it is what it
Alrighty.
is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes. So what do you have coming up? Where can people see you? What conventions?
Oh gosh.
I know NDAs are in place, but any shows you can talk about, etc. What
Yeah.
is on the horizon for Ashe?
So okay, so shows that no shows I can talk about at the moment, unfortunately.
Understand.
I have I'm not sure when this is going to air, so this may air after, but I am going to be at EtchyCon Dallas this weekend, which is always a lot of. I've never been to EtchyCon Dallas before. We're going to see what's going to happen. I'm doing a panel on it's ostensibly an art history panel, but it's called I do a different version at other conventions called a deep appreciation for monsters. It's
Okay.
basically did you have a crush on Simba when you were a kid? Let's discuss. And it ends up being an art history lesson hidden underneath. So I'm taking a much more advanced version to EtchyCon because I can go 18 and up. And it's it's an 18 up convention, so I can like actually
Oh. Okay.
really go for it. It's gonna be very exciting.
Yes.
Which is usually an 18 up panel, but at other conventions you still want to be a little more conservative. Let's see, I have a book signing coming. Okay, a lot of this is local stuff, so it's very difficult to like talk about. Oh gosh, my books are coming out soon this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. If we ever finish, there's a game I've been working on for like 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years. It's called My Only Sunshine. It may come out soon. We'll find out I'll find out when you find out. I'm actually technically a producer on it. And I'm just not in control of the stage it's at now. So it's just a matter of seeing if that finishes. So yeah, a lot of local stuff, which makes it very difficult to be like, come see me, person across the country, at a local event.
Well, we have a lot of fans in the
So
DFW.
if you happen
area,
to be
so-
in DFW and you happen
Yes.
to be, if you happen to be in DFW, you can see me at EtchyCon on, okay, we'll be more specific. If you happen to be in DFW, you can see me at EtchyCon on June 29th. If you live in the Grapevine area, I'll be having a book signing at the end of August for my books at Talking Animal Books. August, oh shootaroo. 31st, August 31st from like 2 to 4. So that's
Awesome.
local stuff. And then yeah, as far as like game stuff, yeah, it's unfortunate. Either I don't know when it's gonna release because I'm not in control, or I can't talk about it, which is very frustrating, but also kind of fun.
Yeah, and we will never ask you to break those NDAs.
Oh God, no! Like even if you did, I wouldn't. Like
Right.
I know we have had people offer to break, and I'm like, no. Why would you?
No.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
God, I'm
Like,
I am
do you want
so-
do you want to continue to work?
I am like I'm so like it's I am so paranoid about NDAs and stuff. Like I'm to the point where it's like there's kind of like a general consensus when you're doing things like Walla or like
Mhm.
bits and pieces that like you're never gonna get announced that you were in that episode because you're just woman 5. And so it's kind of this agreement that okay, when the show comes out, you can say you were in it. I still won't do it because I'm just like, what if I'm inadvertently breaking NDA because I'm announcing my part in this show? I won't do it. I'll
Right.
wait till somebody else is like, oh, and by the way, Ash is also in this, and I'll be like, yeah, I was the grandma. But like, I won't do it. I'm so paranoid.
We've had some people, I'm not going to mention their names because, I have that level. No, I'm not. No, because
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've had some people tell us some things. And the only reason why we knew certain things was because he didn't sign an NDA, so he could tell us. So we were like,
Yeah.
secret safe with me. No, I ain't gonna say nothing.
Right,
But it was pretty cool to know that he trusted us enough to tell us this, and we were like, yeah, we appreciate it so much,
Yeah. So, I was once told that the greatest thing a person can share with another person is their time. Ash, we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us this evening.
It's a fun time, great time for all. I love chit chatting.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, if you could just hang out with us for just one more minute while we pay a few bills. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode tonight. If you guys do enjoy this episode, make sure you like the video, and also all of the information, her social. By the way, we didn't ask. If people want to follow you on social media, where can they go?
Everything is Pixels and Pins. Pixels and Pins, like pixels on a screen and pins like for sewing. Everything is that. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr. If I ever resurrect my Tumblr. If you want to play any of the games I've produced or the games I've written or the games I've voice acted in or directed, if you want to play any of like the games I've produced or games I've like voice acted or directed, you can find that on Itch.io via Pixels and Pins. Like type it in, you'll find me.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we will make sure we'll have all of that in the content below or in the description of this video. Thank you. I'm still learning. Anyway, Chip, anything you want to say before we get out of here tonight?
Go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, as always, please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe on Spotify and right here on YouTube.
Make sure you leave a comment down below. And again, we appreciate it so much. If you guys want to continue to support Movement Radio, check out streamlabs.com/Movement Radio/merch and go copy some merch. Ash, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, y'all, hope you guys enjoyed that. We love you. We'll catch you next time. I'm Talon Williams.
I'm Chip Hazard.
And I'm Ash. Hi.
And this is Movement Radio.
God bless.